They've helped me take back some of my power in this career. Yeah. Ooh, did not know we were gonna go there. So serious. I didn't even finish my coffee. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam Valentine. This is the One Broke Actors platform. I'm an actress in Los Angeles, and today I'm going to do something very, very scary. I am going to honestly listen and react back to my own self, telling myself what I did well and poorly last year. It is a very rainy day in LA, and this is probably the perfect day to do this. Let me just adjust my mic here a little bit. So I have a podcast from February 3rd of 2022 where I titled it, What I Did Well and Poorly in 2021. This is season 9, episode 1, and in it I go through everything I did well and poorly in the past year. So before we do our goal setting call with the Patreon, which is coming up soon, Patreon's linked in the bio, you can read all about it. I wanted to listen back to this and honestly react and see if anything's changed from the last year. When I recorded this coming off of 2021, I'd had a really big year. I had booked 2 or 3 big jobs, and I had new agents, and I was feeling like pretty fly. Do people say fly anymore? 2022 was a very different year than I expected. It ended up being a really good year for me financially in terms of business, but it was kind of a rebuilding year for my acting career. I signed with some new managers, I signed with a new print agent, I booked a lot of voiceover, I booked a commercial, which was amazing. Still waiting for that one to come out. Anytime now, just anytime now. But I did not have as many auditions as they did the previous year. Post-COVID was weird. So then the year post-COVID was very weird. Anyway, I wanted to listen back to this episode, and I'm going to do a little hopping around on it. And we're going to hear what it was that I thought I did well in 2021 and match it up to how 2022 went. So follow me on this journey. There you go. There you can see it. What I did poorly in 2021. A Manifest by Sam Valentine. Okay, the first thing here is meeting and communicating with old and new casting directors. I did not do a good job of this in 2021. A lot of you might see that I talk to people in the business all the time on Instagram, which is great, but I don't necessarily talk to them outside of that platform. Okay, so that's a good place to start. I absolutely did a better job this year of communicating with casting. Just because I made it a point in 2021, I was kind of riding the flow of having an influx of auditions because things were coming kind of easier. And so in 2022, in this past year, I did make it a point to reach out to more people in my network. I worked a little bit harder because things weren't coming as easy as they did the year before. So I decided to make new connections, and I met some new people just via the podcast. I also met them via being out in the world, which was something we didn't get to do in 2021. I met them through different capacities. I went and got coffee with people whenever that was available. I took some meetings that I might not have necessarily took previously. And also, I reached out to people. I started something on my phone called a compliment list. And when I saw a show that was being cast by someone cool or had an awesome actor in it or something like that, if I could find their email, I'd email them. And if I thought they would prefer a DM, I'd DM them. And I said people did incredible work. And I tried to touch base with people that way. That is a huge thing I'm really proud of. Also, occasionally, I will coach with someone that I don't know in order to make that connection. And that's people who are also in casting, but also in different capacities. And if I can support them on Instagram and all those places, I did. And so I feel pretty good about that particular one from this past year. Okay, let's skip ahead. Next, taking time to watch the content I did not book. I have yet to start this process for this past year. Okay, let's talk about watching stuff that you auditioned for but didn't book. This is a very trepidatious place to do work. I think it is very worthwhile. If you guys have seen the Patreon, I have an audition tracker in there. There's also tons of free ones online. You really just need a Google Sheet if you're really good at that. If you like adding more stuff to it, that's where my podcast and the Patreon has a little bit more of nuance of like adding stuff to that sheet. Audrey Helps Actors also has an Instagram live she did recently where she breaks down stuff she tracks. And it is so good for me in a lot of ways and so bad for me in a lot of ways to go back and watch the work that I did in book. One thing that is really clear to me is I have to be in a really good mental space to do that work. To go through and, first of all, hot tip, something I say in the Patreon episode, is make sure when you are making these that you absolutely write down the episode number of the show you auditioned for. So that way you don't have to go back and watch 10 episodes of a show to find like the co-star you auditioned for. Write down the episode number. I, this past year, spent a little bit of time watching things that I auditioned for when I don't think I was quite ready. It was not good. It was not. It was not productive because instead of looking for the nuances in the work and the age range and the character and the person and who was representing the person who booked the job, I was looking for, is she skinnier than me? Does she have more credits than me? Does she, which like, we can't pretend like those things don't matter in Hollywood, but they don't matter as much as you think that they do. So there were things that I wasted my time on in trying to do this exercise. So I am blocking out some time for myself to do this later this month in terms of like a January check-in. I want to make sure like my age range is right. Is my blonde hair still working? It was brunette for a while. I want to make sure this is like still relevant to my casting. Are my photos doing justice? Is there a through line of who represents the people who are booking all of the jobs that I auditioned for? What can I gather data-wise that has nothing to do with my comparison? I think that is much more useful. For example, there was an episode of Hacks that I auditioned for. I've auditioned for every single season of this show. I think it's phenomenal. I think that season 3 is fully filmed, and I think it's the last one, so I'm kind of sad didn't make it onto any of the seasons. But I digress. One of the characters who I auditioned for, I went back and watched the episode that she did, and I realized the dichotomy between her energy and my energy was so massive. I could not have been that if I tried. She was so chill, so like cool, and like just fucking cool. And like I am cool-ish, but like I have a big energy and I have a brightness to me that is not like the chill, laid back, cool girl. And I know this about myself. This is part of the discovery process of your essence too. This is a cool thing you can, see what I did there? This is a nice thing you can do if you struggle with your essence, is looking at the people who booked the jobs that you auditioned for and seeing the differences between your essence. Not how you look, but your essence, how you come off. She was super chill. Like this girl probably went to Coachella before it was well known. That type of vibe. I would probably go to Coachella if someone gave me free VIP wristbands, and I'd probably take like a bunch of pictures of me like smiling too big. Like I am not that girl. I know that. So that is when you need to do that exercise appropriately. And that is one thing I learned from trying to get this like box checked. Okay, let's go on. This next item, number 3, is something that I have been working on for a long time, and I nailed it occasionally, but on the whole, I made other people's priorities my own. So the overarching theme of this third item is to slow down in general when I get email, and especially when I get auditions. I didn't fix this at all. I didn't fix this at all. Oh my God. No, not at all. I get a little trigger happy with my emails and I get excited to check a box and I send emails very fucking quickly. What I mean here is that it's very easy for me to let other people's priorities become mine. And when I have clients and Patreon and DMs and other people needing me to like confirm this audition, even though I haven't checked it, whether or not it has nudity or not, what is involved in it, what are the dates, I just want to please other people and get their tasks done, sometimes to the detriment of my own. And this podcast about 2021, I was referring to like sending too many emails. In 2022, I made my businesses my number one priority, which I almost had to. If you guys have questions about like what else I do, please drop them below. I also run a podcasting company called Fast Forward that launched last year in February. So we're coming up on our 1 year, and One Broke Actress became a full business. And so between running those two things and my acting career, I very easily put the people who need things from me and things that make money and all of these things ahead of things that I could have also been doing for my acting career. And not even that I needed to be doing all of the time, but I was checking boxes constantly, and that felt better to me than sitting in the stillness that is this career a lot of times. So I blocked that off by filling it with stuff. And this is what I mean in this. And so it's definitely something that I'm still working on going into 2023. And number 4, the last thing I have down on my list of things I did poorly in 2021 is getting caught up in image overacting in auditions. Ooh. I cannot believe I called myself out for that back then, because I still do it now. Wow. I am so progressive and I don't even know it. I could cry talking about this. I have spent a lot of time in this career in unfortunate circumstances where I was told that the fixable thing and the thing that could bring me more success was changing my body. And it was really hard. I wrote so many articles. I wrote one about being asked to lose 12 pounds. I'll link it here. I wrote one about the agent who told me I needed to fix my eyebrows because they were a problem. I will link that here. I was very often told that like my body was the thing that was holding me back. Do I think I'm alone in this career? No. I wish that not everyone was told this so often. I think everyone probably has a story akin to this. And I think that because I am already someone who's privileged and comes from like a thin, pretty privileged side of the world, I can't imagine what this even looks like for someone else. But it has shaded my experiences a great deal. It's almost impossible for it not to. It's a lot to unpack. That's why I highly recommend therapy. I highly recommend learning to separate yourself from the voices of other people and from the things that you've collected along the way. Those little it's like a mental trash can that you just like keep putting shit in, and eventually like someone needs to back it up and get it the fuck out of here because you can't carry that around all of the time. That's something I spent some time on in the past couple of years, and thank God I did some work with it before COVID. But it's still hard. It's still hard not to make fixing, whatever that means, my body the focus of fixing my acting career. And one day I hope I get to talk about this on like a real big stage so that people who write the scripts and cast the scripts and the producers and the people who like put this all on can see how ineffective it can be and how detrimental it can be to give someone direct body feedback, and that there's just so many other ways that we could go around that. But it's hard. It's definitely not fixed. It's definitely something I still think about. I've tried really hard, to be really candid, in the past year to turn myself into mental athlete mode instead of like thin, pretty actress mode. So I like to treat myself as an athlete. I strength train multiple times a week. My husband's a personal trainer and he understands the ramifications of my actor body moving through space and how it looks on camera. And he's so good at making my training plan work for that. He's been astronomical in my growth in this process and feeling strong and like an athlete all the time. So I tell myself I'm an athlete instead of just an actor. And then I do things like run races. Like I ran a half marathon and I'm running another one soon, and things like that, putting my body in those type of situations and asking of it in ways that aren't necessarily to be smaller. They've changed my mindset a great deal, and they've helped me take back some of my power in this career. Yeah. Ooh, did not know we were gonna go there. So serious. I didn't even finish my coffee. If you guys want to hear the rest of this episode, it is, like I said, episode 9.1, what I did well and poorly in 2021. I will be probably doing an episode of this same vein for the Patreon coming up soon, so they can kind of get the inside scoop. Going on in the episode, things I didn't cover was 6 things I did well. So I also gave myself props. So if you want to go listen to that rest of that episode, it is linked in our show notes. Thank you guys so much for listening. Please comment below if you have any thoughts or feelings on any of the things I said in this YouTube video, and I will talk to you very soon.